Alright, how's it going, guys? So today in this video I'm going to talk about my thoughts and my hopes and wishes for this new upcoming single player Star Wars game called Jedi Fallen Order. Um, if you don't know anything about it, basically it's a single player action adventure Star Wars game that takes place between 3 and 4. You take the role of a Padawan who's trying to escape the Empire because the Empire's hunting everybody down, or hunting all the Jedi's down after Order 66. So apparently, I've heard that it's supposed to be similar to The Force Unleashed, except everybody's saying the Force powers are going to be a little bit more realistic, which makes no sense because I mean the Force is not realistic in itself. So, but nonetheless, it's supposed to be. What I think what they mean by that is that they're going to be less overpowered, um, or you're going to be not as powerful. Which either way makes more sense because you're a Padawan, not a force killing weapon. But regardless, that's what it's supposed to be like. I haven't heard anything whether it's going to be an RPG or not. I'm really hoping it's going to be an RPG, but um, knowing EA and their ways of making Star Wars games, I doubt it. I think it's going to be kind of like the new God of War game where it's going to be linear, it's going to be a mission by mission thing, but there's going to be some exploration and some leveling up and character build up um, as you're playing the game. Which hopefully there's going to be some more replay factor because I really don't want to get a game where I just play it from A to B and it's done and over with. Force Unleashed was a lot like that, but the game is just fun as it is, to where you can, I guess, keep replaying it. But um, I don't really know if this game could hold up to that. But that's kind of where it's going to be. That's kind of my first hope for it. But I want to talk about the issues that I have with this. First issue is the timeline. It takes place between 3 and 4, which is the absolute most overused timeline so far that Disney has done. If it's everything they've made, other than episode 7 and 8, is all between there, like roughly a good 90% of it. Both spin-off movies, Star Wars Rebels, the Darth Vader comics, I think is in between that time, a couple other different comics, this new game that's coming out, and a lot of other things. All of it takes place before or between 3 and 4. And it's so overused. It's super unnecessary, and I feel like there's so many other timelines um, that they can choose this game to take place in that would be a lot more beneficial to them, because there's before Phantom Menace. They haven't touched base on that at all. The old EU has. I mean, they have like 3 different games taking place prior to that, and they have tons of comics and books too as well. But I just think the timeline is super unnecessary, but I don't think that'll hinder the actual game. One thing I think is going to be a problem is that it is going to be a linear game. That's one issue. It's not. I don't think it's going to be an open world RPG at all. As much as that would be freaking awesome, I don't think it's going to happen. So it's. But one thing I hope for is, which also won't happen, especially if this is going to be a linear game. But um, one thing I'm hoping for is some sort of like a choice thing where you can become a Sith or a Jedi. Like you can use, like you can make a choice. Like, do you want to take dark side or light side route? That would be so cool, but it's not gonna happen. That's another issue. Is that it sounds like you're stuck as a Jedi, which sucks because it's so boring in my opinion. I feel like they can have so much variety in a good single player Star Wars game. Like imagine a Star Wars game where you could like like KOTOR, for example, Knights of the Old Republic, where you can choose what kind of person you want to be, but also add kind of like a hack and slash sandbox element to it, kind of like Prototype 2 or the Infamous franchise, where you're in a city as well, where you have force power. So maybe you can hop in your ship, you can fly out to Tatooine, and you can go fly to some Tusken camp and just have a blast and just slaughter a bunch of Tusken raiders. Or maybe some moisture farmers. Who knows what route you'll take. But obviously that's just me hoping and dreaming for a good Star Wars game, which will not happen. I know it won't. But back to this game, that's one of the hopes that I would have, is I hope or wish that they would do that, but I know it won't. But there, this game, I don't think it's going to be that good. I mean, it's like we haven't gotten anything. We haven't gotten a trailer or gameplay footage. We just know where it's going to take place and who you're playing as. So it's really not my place to say if this game is going to be good or not. But the reason why I am is that because I can't help myself but to grab what Disney's done so far and what EA's done so far and kind of put two and two together and get an idea of what this game is going to become. Because at the end of the day, you think about that, it's probably not going to be that great. I mean, a lot of people were glad to hear that this game, you weren't going to be as powerful as, say, the character in The Force Unleashed. Because I know that was one of the big complaints about Disney axing the old EU, was that people were like glad because they were nerfing a lot of what the Force was capable of. They weren't having people bring down Star Destroyers or destroy planets on their own. In my opinion, that things makes Star Wars that much more interesting, but people obviously are stupid and they don't like that, and so when you make a game about it, it's going to make people happy. I feel like somehow this game is going to be like The Last Jedi, where it's going to be a massive success and people are going to say that they like it, but in reality it's going to be garbage. I feel like this game, right off the bat, in my opinion, from my point of view, has a lot more issues and a lot more things that make me worried about it than it does hype me up. Because the only thing that is hyping me up is that it's a single-player game. It's a single-player action-adventure game. But also, it's really hard to be hyped over that because I'm asking myself, is it going to be a free roam RPG or just a level-by-level linear game? I'm pretty sure it's going to be a mission-by-mission A to B linear game. So that's why I'm making sure my hopes are down to the floor. And these are pretty much my thoughts on the game. I guess just to sum it all up, keep your hopes down. It's not going to be that great. You're not going to get an Old Republic or Force Unleashed game this time around. And I'll see you guys in the next video.